Lemon Amiga presents a Playguide video review. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Shot software.
You got flames in your eyes, burning with rage. Into the night, into the night. You realize there's no danger with me out your side. Into the night, into the night. Do you wonder who am I? The business slowing by. Who makes a stand against the evil sunlight? I'm a fighting spirit every day. I'm a fighting spirit. I'm on your way. Oh yeah. You got flames in your eyes, burning with rage. Into the night, into the night. You realize there's no danger with me out your side. Into the night, into the night, into the night.
Fighting Spirit, the Supreme Warriors Tournament.
Hey there, welcome to another Lemon Amiga Playguide and review. This time we'll be checking out Fightin Spirit, and this was developed by Lightshock Software and published by Neo on the Amiga in 1996. On that title screen we get a highly detailed picture, and this is the AGA version that we're playing at the moment, and we also get another massively highly detailed picture on the high score table, and this doubles for the background of the story as well. And apparently in the year 1990s, so we've already passed it, there was apparently a big tournament controlled by Genshi, and the Supreme Warriors Tournament, and it's our job to get in there During the introduction it will also give us a list out of some of the characters, and Ken To might remind you of Ken from the Street Fighter 2 series. You can see various backstories are on offer as well. Tongli apparently comes from Thailand, so the names are reversed in Thailand, so it's actually Lee Tong, and you can see that he's ripping off Dalsim. His main claim to fame is he can use fire, and he's, I think, the only one that can use fire, and unfortunately he doesn't have tremendously long legs. Playing, I think, for the Americans we've got Burke, and you can see this is another rip-off character of maybe Gil or something like that, and you can see he's a mercenary and he operates up and down and above and below the law. On that main menu we get a number of options, and the first options of course are the options themselves, and we can also check out the option of the Hall of Fame as well. You can see all of the characters in the game are there, and then using our controller we can scroll all the way down. Let's check them out. Difficulty mode, we can have it on hard or extra hard, and well, let's have it on easy for this. And you can see we can continue, and we can change the time limit and the sound effects. We can also change the shadow match on and off. I think that means we play against a shadow of ourselves. We can turn the blood on and off. We can have a death match as well. And there's also stun options. Definitely recommend turning the stun option off. And we can change the language as well through a number of different languages. We can also change our controller options, and for now I'm just going to use the one button controller. Then we can choose what mode we want to play in, and so for this let's choose battle mode. And we can choose from any opponent, including apparently a lizard from Brazil. That sounds pretty good to me. So let's play as a monster. The computer will then choose its own opponent. We then get to choose, I think, or are given where we are meant to go.
Round 1. Fight.
In this game you get to see that this is a very highly detailed multicolour game, and this was released apparently on the OCS ECS platform as well as AGA and the CD32, which was maybe an enhanced version, and this game comes with music and sound effects playing together. Maybe I've switched on 2-player mode by mistake, but the AI doesn't seem to be offering much of an opponent, and you can see that we can practice some moves as well, and this creature is capable of quite a few. So it's a good idea to practice perhaps in 2-player mode and to get used to all these controls before you even start this game, and that's definitely one way to train up. And then when you get bored of that you can simply attack the computer player, and then that's another win.
Round 2. Fight.
It will then go through a number of opponents where you can carry on practicing if you really want to do that. And sometimes getting down those special moves is very difficult, and I think I'm trying a special move at the moment and it's not working, and sometimes it's those special moves later on in the game which make all of the difference, and if you can make sure that you pull those off then that's fantastic. It means that's game over. And if you can't, if you have to rely on the melee attacks, as we will find out, unfortunately that's really not going to work. We then get a chance to play again if we want to do that, or we can go back to the main menu and it shows us a random element of a cartoon feature in between each of the rounds. Selecting the tournament battle, we can choose a number of characters. You can see that these numbers are flashing on the screen, unfortunately, probably because of the setup I'm using at the moment. and give us a knockout tournament, and players play off against each other until they've been knocked out, and you can see it climbs up a tree. And then eventually the computer will go through all of those opponents and all those tournaments, and it will work out a score for them. I've no idea why it puts up the introduction for every single one, but eventually it will get to us. P1, that's us, and we're playing off against this Tom Lee guy. So let's select a different location this time, and maybe Sunny Beach.
Round 1. Fight. Round 2. Fight.
You can see on Sunny Beach we get a burger vendor, and that is got Jaws in the background, which eye blinks. I don't know if you can see that, and various things animate in the background, and the 256 colour AGA version has been put to good use. And that's basically the tournament over for us, so, well, what are we going to do? So all we can do is sit through the last of those tournaments and wait for the computer to make its mind up on who won. And the reptile in this case versus another one. Well, my money's on the reptile. Let's see who wins the battle, and let's see, the winner is Heaton, so yet again. Perhaps the creature from the Godzilla movie, whatever it's meant to be, is the best one to pick. Unfortunately, I don't think you can pick a tiger or a dragon, and I think certain characters can morph into a tiger, and that blue character has a kind of a dragon. But that's the only reason why they are there on that title screen. So let's turn on the turbo, and that should make the game a bit quicker. And also, well, let's just leave all the other options on stock for now, and let's check out that story mode. Now, the important part of choosing the character, and we really need to be familiar with the characters, and there is a tiger there, so we can be a tiger in this game. The Master, after years of studies, succeeded in improving combat moves capable to neutralize the ravaging effects of Genshi. So, old man, work hard for nothing. The technique was correct, but you are old. You have to fight against the beast spirits of the Shaolin schools, and only after defeating them you'll be strong enough to challenge Genshi, destroying the evil which surrounds him. Go, man, my spirit will follow you, always. Oh, Master Yoda, I mean, damn Genshi, I'll be killing him pretty soon enough, and even if I can't, well, this is going to be my best effort at it. So, Eric and Sheila to one side, may the external flame of the Onikawa dragon protect me.
Narrated. Round 1. Fight. Wave up. Yeah. Wave up. Wave up. Wave up.
Anybody who thinks that this game plays rather slowly can check out the turbo mode, and this shows off what the program can really do, and it turns into more like AGA Plus, where you can just ravage one against each other, and you might notice specks of blood appearing on the floor as we knock the blood out of each other. Fortunately, we have been kicked out and we can continue if we really want to do that against this guy, and unfortunately that's game over, and there should be some blood dripping down or something there, but we didn't quite get enough to get on that high score table because we didn't really win a round. Returning back to the options screen, let's switch off that turbo, and then we can return back to the story mode and select another character.
Round 1. Fight.
We now find ourselves in India, where we find more animated backgrounds and monkeys bobbing up and down, and it's great to see those details, which apparently don't slow this game down much. And you might notice maybe a bit of flickering in the shadows. This was recorded in 2018 and maybe March 2018, something like that, so this was using an old version of Win UAE. You see, trying to pull off those special moves is difficult at the best of times, and I'm having no absolute joy with it, so all I can do is to lay into those guys, and if they are weak enough, hopefully we can take them out.
Round 2. Fight.
The great thing about this guy, he's obviously got a long reach with that pole, and that can't really do much, and I can't pull off the special moves either. You can see the enemy will absolutely use every trick in the book to stop us getting hits, and usually every single time the enemy will go for a special power-up, which means if it hits us, it will do maximum damage. And we won that round against arguably the oldest opponent and perhaps the easiest in the game, so that's not too bad, and I think the opponent's strength goes up the more we fight these guys, so the first one will generally be a pushover, and then perhaps they'll get harder as it goes on. Let's try it again.
Fight.
I think it's great that we get voice, speech, sound effects and the music and everything else playing all together very smoothly. And it's amazing that this was in fact released on the OCS platforms at all. And you might be surprised to learn the game was called Perpetual Craze before it was released as Fightin Spirit, and I've no idea what Perpetual Craze means. Perpetual usually means continued and craze means angry, so continued anger, well, that's perhaps what it could have been, but as anybody knows who's been in a fight, if you get angry sometimes you get lots of strength and you make progress, but sometimes if it's a professional fight that usually means your opponent is going to step in and knock your head off. So the last thing you want to do is to be perpetually angry, and so these guys are professionals and obviously they know how to pull off all the special moves and to knock me out pretty easily. Back again to that main menu, I think you have to knock out maybe 2 or 3 opponents to get anywhere near a decent score. So we are nowhere near that at the moment, and many people love these fighting games and say there should be really more of these on the Amiga. And so I'm now going to switch on the 2-button controls. That means button 1 is for kicks, and you can alternate that if you really want to. And it's great that you can do that, punches and kicks together and blocks and things like that. Unfortunately, the 2-button controller that I'm using at the moment isn't the 4-button CD32 controller, which probably would have been the best measure to use. But anyway, let's change our controller and let's try this in 2-button mode, and let's see if it makes it any easier. Somewhere in Miami, CIA agents Sheila, you have the responsibility of the investigation. We've got to get out there, organised by this guy. Remember that nobody have to know anything about your real identity. Nobody have to know. And this game was created by a bunch of Italians, so that's why the English is mispronounced virtually in every case. So we can perhaps let them off with the detail of this game. At the moment I'm trying to practice with this character, and usually the female characters are a bit quicker, and maybe that will allow me to do something a bit more than punches and kicks. But it appears not. I'm trying all kinds of combinations to try and get something together, and some kind of fireball or anything like that, and I don't appear to be doing anything. This guy is simply wrestling me to the ground. Sheila is supposed to be a kung fu expert, and if you can only do high kicks and mid kicks and a few punches, that's not really expertise I can handle. I think it's great what they tried to do with this game. They definitely tried to pack a lot in there with the different effects, and we can even do the splits as well if we really want to do that. Not that that will help us much, I don't think, with this guy. I like the sign on the beach, and I like the animation as well in the background, and it makes it feel a bit busier with all these things going on. Not that that improves my chances of progressing with this game. So that's yet again the end of another round where I wasn't successful. And so getting used to the controls in this game is definitely in there. You can't really just wing it and press the fire buttons wildly. You have to really do something about it. So let's try, well, we can go back to the one button joypad where we can do everything on the one button if we really want to do that. But just before the end of this review, we're going to try it with the CD32 controller. That means that we get punches and quick punches and kicks and quick kicks. I have no idea why the ordinary punches aren't quick to begin with. But anyway, we can do that if we've got a CD32 controller that's got 4 buttons on there. What a luxury, 4 buttons. So in order to give this game a fair try, and I'm not too bad at some fighting games, but this one definitely is one of those where you have to get used to playing as one character and pulling off all those special moves. I really do love these cutscenes with this 90s kind of music, which reminds me of arcade games.
Part versus Narrated. Round 1. Fight.
And again, there might be occasional screen glitching going on. I've no idea whether that is my emulator or not. But you'll notice maybe the shadows glitching out, and that's not too much of an annoyance because it's the guy that's hitting us which is our main focus on this play. So you can see that the action is definitely packed, and it reminds me a little bit of Body Blows. You can definitely feel the weight of the impacts because the character will hit the other character and they will shudder and move back. And the speed on offer also reminds me of Body Blows, and so the jumping, well, maybe that's a bit heavier than what we felt on Street Fighter 2.
Round 2. Fight.
So I can't say that this game is clunky, although it definitely is one of those games where full contact with the enemy can sometimes result in a big loss and a big damage. And it's a game where if you proceed with it and get lots of melee attacks in close range, sometimes you can get better at it. And it's definitely one where if you stand back at long range, the enemy will simply get you with whatever long range weapons that it's got in its arsenal, which is usually quite a few. And so pooping out bricks there is not a subtle metaphor for facing this guy. But as we know, he's only got a pole, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Round 1. Fight.
The backgrounds in this level remind me of IK Plus with a tree on it, and it's got a dragon that looks like it's been choked. But apart from that, you can see it's highly detailed with things swinging around on that pagoda. And it's great that they went to all this amazing effort. Unfortunately, the coder, the graphics designer and the musician in this game didn't go on to anything else according to the Lemon database. So this was their first and last and only game. It came out in 1996, so maybe a couple of years after the last Amiga was being produced. And by this time, of course, people really knew how to wring the best out of the machine, and it ended up being Italians and Polish and Germans and the people that ended up using the machine long after its heyday. But that means that we did get good quality games eventually. So I think that they did a great effort creating a kind of atmosphere of this game, definitely with the music, and if you can get used to those rather slower affecting controls and it's not really high speed action, then maybe you can try this out. Moving on to the scores, the Amiga awarded this 82%, Amiga Format gave it 81, and Lemon Amiga gave this 81% as well. And none of the other magazines, including Amiga Power and everything else that was still around at that time, none of them reviewed it, and some of them previewed it as perpetual craze. So that gives this game an average score of 8 out of 10. This is one of the games that we have played in the Lemon Amiga Super League, and of course John 4P has the high score. You can see the high scores listed on the Lemon Amiga database pages for most of the games that we've played in the Super League, along with those high scores. So it is definitely a game where masters say it's wonderful, and all you need to do is to remember what you're supposed to do to kill every single guy, and then perform that until they are dead. But that means it's a mastery game, and it means that you're going to have to spend time with it, quite a few hours perhaps, until you beat the whole thing.
Okay. Round 3, fight.
For me, perhaps the biggest drawback is the difficulty curve, and this is supposed to be on easy mode, it's certainly not on hard or maniac, and yet the enemies are simply launching power up after power up towards us, and that means that we are defeated at this level, even though this is, I think, only level 3. Which definitely affects lost ability when novices can't even beat it on the easiest mode. And the best, no one can defeat me. Well, it isn't the best, everyone can defeat him except for me, and that's because I'm no good at this game. But I'm sure if I practiced it long and hard enough, I'm sure I could get something out of it. So that's the graphically superior, sonically amazing, kind of control-y, kind of clunky but not quite, game Fightin Spirit, and I hope this has introduced you to these guys, and I hope to check out another fighting game at some point, sometime in this series, of which there are still quite a few to cover. So thank you once again for checking out this Playguide, and I hope that this has introduced you to the game, not necessarily taught you how to play it. Thank you.